Chaos reigns.
What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Netflix new series Chaos with a K. Let's rock this. Alright, I gotta be honest with you. Back when I heard about this project, I thought the creative mind would be Neil Gaiman. You know, the maestro who often gives us stories involving cosmic divinity, angels and demons, heaven and hell, and whatnot. But nope, turns out Neil Gaiman has nothing to do with Chaos. And it's all actually thanks to the genius mind of Charlie Koval. And I say that because I really, thoroughly, immensely, deeply enjoyed Chaos. What a hell of a new show this is. Chaos is very imaginative, and at the end of every episode, I could not wait to see how Charlie would visually interpret this Greek mythos character or that famous Greek mythos character, so on and so forth. Oh my god, I wonder what so-and-so would look like, you know what I'm saying? Granted, some of them are MIAs, and perhaps that's a good thing, meaning if you enjoyed season 1, then Charlie and their team might bring out some of those currently hidden fellas for the next season. Ooh, and the cream de la cream of this entire extravaganza is none other than the great Jeff Goldblum. As the King of the Gods, aka the God of Thunder, Jeff basically plays him like how Anthony Starr plays Homelander on The Boys. In fact, the story is very much a lot like the arc on The Boys, except Chaos kinda compresses theirs swiftly in under 8 episodes. Jeff as Zeus is scary fun, corrupted by power, and would gleefully murder, torture, and intimidate those around him. He lets paranoia consume and cloud his judgment. Now, Jeff still has those little tics and those mannerisms that he can't escape. You know, the stuff that impressionists often make fun of him for. But at the same time, this is also the Jeff Goldblum unlike you've ever seen him before. He just disappears in his character's desperate need for self-preservation. It's such an entertaining performance to watch. From BAFTA-winning screenwriter and showrunner Charlie Koval in Chaos, having long enjoyed his status as King of the Gods, Zeus's reign has never been truly threatened. That is until he wakes up one morning and discovers a wrinkle on his forehead. Believing it to be the harbinger of an ancient prophecy which foretells his destruction, neurosis sets in. Zeus becomes convinced his fall is coming. As his paranoia takes hold, the God of Gods, seeing signs everywhere, starts to dangerously self-destruct. And he is right to be worried. Zeus's one-time friend and now prisoner Prometheus is orchestrating a plan to bring him down. The plan involves 3 disparate humans, all of whom are totally unaware of their cosmic significance or the part they must play in saving the world. No pressure. Starring Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, Janet McTeer as Hera, David Thewlis as Hades, Cliff Curtis as Poseidon, also starring Billie Piper and Susie Eddie Izzard. There are a total of 8 episodes, and each episode runs an hour long, and even though the review embargo lifts on the same exact night as this show's premiere, I'll try my best to not spill major spoilers here. As I mentioned earlier, imaginative is the best word to describe Chaos. And it's funny the fact that Jeff Goldblum is practically one of the few American Hollywood stars featured on this show, along with Aurora Perrineau. And they are surrounded by actors from basically the British equivalents of SAG-AFTRA Union. Yeah, you got some famous folks like Janet and Billy, but every other cast member is only the who's who of the British screen thespians. And you can tell that Charlie had put some serious thoughts into the personal traits, the outside appearances, and the functionalities of each of these eccentric characters, combining the extent and the limits of their authorities with today's gender-fluid approach. It's a society that may be obedient to the gods, but it's also a society that freely expresses their individualistic lifestyle, and that includes the gods themselves. and I find that approach to be bold and exciting, like an unbridled performative work of art. I mentioned earlier that Jeff Goldblum's Zeus is kind of like Homelander. Well, Prometheus is kind of like Butcher, but master plan guy Prometheus doesn't interject himself into every subplot. Everything is already set in motion, and we, the audiences, are seeing it coming together, and the thing that makes it stimulating are the little unexpected hiccups along the way, because remember, those gods have powers, and those humans who unwittingly play a part in this conspiracy to dethrone that power have to find themselves in a black and white underworld. So it's a cheeky, tricky game that only showrunner Charlie knows the rules and has the key to unlock it all. What you need to keep in mind is that Kaos is a dark comedy. Some of it is very dry, while others are very silly and absurd, but it never once loses my attention because there's also something very clever about it in a way that kind of revels in the doom and gloom. The way that the gods treat humans like they're toys is both disturbing and bizarre. The direction is excellent. The cinematography and the use of monochromatic light and color to illustrate a certain place or a certain mood are fascinating, and the show's ability to apply the Greek mythology as a metaphor to illuminate the complexities of modern society is remarkable. It's this brave thematic explorations of identity and love and loss while tackling issues of racism, marginalization, and xenophobia and fascism. It's not overtly political, and yet it's timely, relevant, and enlightening. The performances crack me up. In a good way, of course. There's a scene in which Poseidon puts his foot's toe literally inside the mouth of Crete's president Minos. It's hilarious how willing and committed these actors are to bringing Charlie's vision and brand of humor to life. Some of the supporting characters are underdeveloped. I would have loved to know more about Medusa, for example, but the pacing and the editing are quite alright for the most part, and they are not too reliant on the CGI either, although it's a very effective tool in progressing the story forward. You know, you can fairly argue, well, Rama, this show is just a roundabout way of championing atheism. And maybe you're right, who knows? But this show never actually shies away from that, if you ask me. It wears it on its sleeves, you know what I mean? It clearly comes to the conclusion that we as humans should be masters of our own fate, as opposed to bowing down to fairy tale beings, let alone autocratic ones. The themes in Kaos definitely parallel the themes in The Boys. You basically get similar outcome of rebellious philosophical thought here. This is just a more wacky, outlandish, and sometimes more ruthless way of going about it. So yeah, overall I give Kaos the rating of 4 out of 5. This is a captivating, amusing new spin on the Greek mythology with a gutsy perspective on the human condition.
And chaos reigns.